topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, Dominic.
Crudy.
It's time for Dem Fight Club 2. 2 candidates enter. Hopefully 2 candidates leave. We got 2 fine ones live in studio. They are Mahlon Mitchell to my left and Kathleen Vinehout to his right. Welcome, both of you, to the big Dem Fight Club.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I got to have you say something. I got to make sure your levels are fine.
Check 1, 2.
Okay, and all the small talk. We're done. Let's get to the debating.
Let's get to it.
Even this little format goes quite quickly. I'm going to start with you, Senator Vinehout. Scott Walker, is he a pro-education governor?
My God. No amount of advertising is gonna make up for the cuts that he did to education and the harm that he did to children and teachers all over the state. I was thinking, how can he possibly think this is a good strategy? Ask any teacher, ask any student, ask any school board member, anywhere in the entire state, and we're looking at a system that in real dollars, adjusted for inflation, has less money than it had a decade ago. This is a winning issue for us. So let him keep talking about education, because the more he talks about it, the more we're going to talk about how he really messed things up.
Okay, Mahlon, we're here in the city of Milwaukee. Voucher schools, effectively in the state of Wisconsin, started here. Got to ask you, sir, your attitude on voucher schools. Are you going to continue the voucher programs in Milwaukee, in Racine, statewide? What's your attitude on vouchers, Mahlon?
Well, that was a lot harder question that you just gave the senator. Actually, you gave her a lot. Is Scott Walker good with public education? And you asked me about voucher schools.
All right, okay, how about this one?
It is Juneteenth Day. It should be my day.
Well, you can answer the first question. Is
my
Scott
God.
Walker Freedom good now. with public schools? And then we'll throw the voucher to both of you.
That's more fair.
Is that
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Dom.
We'll warm you up a little bit.
I thought we were friends.
I thought I was going to warm him up with speed round, but please answer any question you hear in your mind.
I actually will answer that question. In all seriousness, Governor Walker has cut more from public education than he's put back in, obviously. He took $1.6 billion and some change away and then puts back $630 million, and he's calling that progress. Our greatest commodity, I always say, and I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm on a stump, but our greatest commodity is our children. I have a daughter that's a freshman at UW-Oshkosh, a son who's in 8th grade at public schools, and our greatest commodity for our future, whether you have kids or not, is our children. Their greatest currency is their education. So we need to make teachers feel good about teaching again. We need to we have a plan, if you go to our website at mahlonmitchell.com, that talks about K-12 education, and actually having a constitutional amendment where the state will actually pay for 2/3 of the budgets of local school districts. So it alleviates a lot of pressure so that we're not having schools have to have referendum after referendum just to pay for essential services or operational costs, which is not the way to actually run schools. Where me and Governor Walker are from, Delavan, Darien School District, we're going to have a school. Darien Elementary School is going to close because the referendum failed this past spring to put more money into DDHS school district. So Darien School, a school where the governor or a district where the governor is from and I'm from, is going to actually have to shut down its doors because of what's happening in our state. So I agree with Senator Vinehout that Governor Walker is horrible towards education, horrible towards educators, and that's why I'm running. We need a change.
Okay, but I didn't hear an answer to
voucher
my question.
Schools.
Vouchers.
Okay. So I believe that public dollars should go to public education. It's that simple for me. There's no way that we can pay for 2 separate and unequal school systems. But in saying that, in order to do that and actually get to the point where we're doing away with voucher programs, is that we're not going to pull the rug. I'm not going to pull the rug from up under kids that are currently in those schools. So we have to make MPS the best it can be, and we can only do that by fully funding it by actually sitting down with stakeholders and talking about the best way to do that. But I'm not going to pull the rug from underneath the kids that are actually currently in the program, because that wouldn't be the right thing to do. That wouldn't be the right thing to do for children that are currently in the program. But I believe public dollars should go to public education. And if the Koch brothers and the Betsy DeVosses want to fund their private schools, they should do that on their own, not taking away dollars from public education.
Senator Vinehout, got to ask you, what about the rural schools? We are here in Milwaukee right now, but you are perhaps more representative of the rural schools in the state of Wisconsin. Do they also have a problem? Where do you envision the problem, and what might be a solution?
The rural schools have a lot of the same problems that MPS has. We've seen a doubling of poverty over the last decade in both all across the state. We have more special ed kids, more kids with special needs. We have more English learners. We have more kids that are facing mental health challenges or experiencing trauma. Research tells us that all of these experiences for children cost more to educate kids, and our achievement gap is the highest in the nation, and there is no factor for poverty in our primary way that we pay for schools. So I believe the school funding formula fundamentally has to be changed, and we do that by building in these things that I just mentioned in the money that the school gets, so that we're paying schools based on the needs of the students rather than the very antiquated notion of property values, which, to go back to the rural schools, is one of the things that's really hurting the rural schools. We have so many high property value vacation homes or lake homes or river, in my area, river homes, and the local people can't afford to increase their property taxes because the poverty level is so high in that community. And the people are making their living on tourism or agriculture, both of which are hard to make a living. So changing the way that we pay for schools, it helps MPS and it helps our rural schools.
How about MPS, Kathleen? Does MPS have a problem? I've seen recent op-eds, we should have an MPS czar. I want to get your attitude. State governance, top-down governance, how should it address MPS schools?
I serve on the Blue Ribbon Commission on school funding reform, and we spent a day learning about MPS, and obviously it's just a beginning for me to learn. But what I took away from that day and from the work of Dr. Driver is that, and all of the folks at MPS, is that there's a lot of innovation happening. There's a lot of really good ideas that we know work, whether it's Head Start or community schools or schools that are focused on teaching kids things like culinary arts in Milwaukee agriculture. And what is holding back the explosion of these really great ideas is funding. And it goes back to what I said. When you have a formula that does not take into account poverty in its primary mode of funding, and you're looking at a community where 88% of the students are children of color and 80% of them are economically disadvantaged, there's a fundamental flaw. It's a huge omission in the way schools are funded. And this is a solvable problem. And Wisconsin, what I learned from serving on the commission, Wisconsin is way behind. There's nobody else in our entire United States that funds schools like Wisconsin does. One of the folks that testified in front of the hearing said we had invented a new category. And it wasn't in a positive way that Wisconsin stood out. And to look back and say, how did this achievement gap happen? How did all these problems happen? How are all these schools going to referendum and having them pass? Because the state isn't funding. It is in the way that the state is paying. That's why the problems exist.
You know, it's
hold on one second. Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, doing a little Dem Fight Club here in our Brady Street studios.
Do you have to say that every 3 minutes?
I like saying that. I felt good about calling this Dem
That's
Fight
right, we're
Club.
on the same team. We both want to beat Scott Walker.
Malin, we do have the worst, or some of the worst outcomes, I think the worst outcomes for African-American students in the nation, most disparate outcomes between white performance and African-American performance, and we've known this for a long time, and we haven't seen any change in trajectory. If elected, Governor Mahlon, how do you change it? How do you close the gap?
Well, it does not pass by me that obviously I am raising two black or African American kids in the state of Wisconsin, which considerably is deemed to be one of the worst places in our country to raise black kids in. But, we talk about funding, and I agree that we need to adequately fund schools. But, we talk about a school-to-prison pipeline, which is a huge problem in our state. We put more African Americans behind bars than any other state in the country as well. But we talk about the achievement gap, or now they want to call it the opportunity gap, whatever you want to call it. None of those things will be fixed if we do not create opportunities for parents, opportunities for people of color and colors of community in our state. So we talk about the school-to-prison pipeline, right? And then we have the highest African-American male incarceration rate. Then we have truth in sentencing. ERP programs are blocked up or backfilled. But we do all that, but if we go back to actually square one, right? And I'm a firefighter, so we like to handle things by, we put the wet stuff on the red stuff. No matter how complicated building construction gets, no matter how buildings change, which they do over time, at the end of the day, if you put a fire out, you put water on fire, puts it out. So at the end of the day, I like to make things simple. And you go backwards to, if we don't have thriving communities, if everyone doesn't have the freedom to thrive, if we have parents that are working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, because the Scott Walker, we are all a statistic. So we have a 2.8% unemployment rate. So to Scott Walker, that's great. He doesn't have to go around the state or travel the state or talk to anybody, because by metrics, what he looks at is every Wisconsinite as a statistic. So a 2.8% unemployment rate, everything is going great for everybody. Well, we know that's not to be the case. So you have parents working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Where are they? They're at work. Where are their kids? Their kids are either hanging out on the block or they're hanging out on a street corner. What happens when public education gets cut from the street level or the state level? Boys and Girls Club don't get as much funding. After school programs get cut. Mental health gets cut. So now kids are hanging out on the block, not doing their homework. Now we're asking that you go to school the next day. Your parents come home late at night tired. Now your parents have to leave early in the morning and go to work. Now we're asking your kids to go to school, get on the bus by themselves or walk to the school by themselves. Now we're saying the teacher has to be not only the teacher but the parent, the counselor, but also now has to be the judge and jury. So now we're asking the teacher to take care of everything. A kid goes to school hungry, and now we're asking the teacher to take care of everything. And now the kid has not the ability to learn, not the ability to sit home with their parents, do their homework. And then the school-to-prison pipeline happens. So until we actually build stronger communities in our state and actually focus on places that we know that need them, in places of color, in communities of color, we will not bridge that gap of the achievement gap or opportunity gap. We will still continue to have the highest African-American male incarceration rate. We will still have high African-American infant mortality rates, because we do not have parents at home taking care of their kids. And that goes back to actually having a thriving economy here in our state for everybody, not just a select few.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio on Resistance Radio. We got 2 fine dim gubernatorial candidates, Kathleen Vinehout to her left. Mahlon Mitchell will take a break. We'll come right back. You better stick around. More of the Dim Fight Club when we get back.
I will fight you. That's no lie.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. So, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. It's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
The first step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
They can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
The big and tall of political talk. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
This is your sign.
And we are back. Thank you for listening.
I didn't get to hear it.
Advocates Radio Show live.
Let's hear that again.
On Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming this fine product on the YouTube and Facebook pages. And if you missed any of this fine program, please go online. You can download podcasts and interviews and Dem debates at domandcrute.com.
It's almost like Senator Vinehout's chastising you, Mahlon, for not being ready for Dem Fight Club.
I'm ready. You know the first rule about Fight Club?
Don't talk about
Fight Club.
Okay. I understand you were in a little event yesterday, Mahlon, perhaps recently.
A forum.
And one of the Dem gubernatorial opponents, a lesser candidate perhaps, had something to say about you, said you wrote a suck-up letter to Scott Walker. True or false? Did you write a suck-up letter to Scott Walker?
False. So what we did was a press release. It has been talked about forever, since 2011. But it was a press release that we sent in conjunction with the WPPA, the Police Association. It was essentially, now this was before Act 10 was actually put out, right? So look at the timeline there. So what we did was we wrote just a a press release, which is not a letter or not secret, because a press release obviously is in the press, right? So it's a press release that we sent to the masses saying that we are glad that Governor Walker appreciates the work that our brothers and sisters do around the state as far as public safety. Now, in hindsight, I can admit when I made a mistake. I made a mistake, but two, I will tell you that I was duped, misled. By
whom? Who duped you?
Boonswoggle?
And not by Governor Walker, but not that he called me and said, "Hey, I want you to write a letter." It was just that we thought that it was just going to be possibly some small changes, whatever. But when we saw Acton actually read the bill that night, because it came out on Friday night, and we read it, we came out. So Paul Soglin is trying to rewrite history. And if you look at what we did as far as firefighters every day from day one in the protests, I mean, we were there. And we not only brought our money, marbles, and chalk, we brought everything to the table. We brought our bagpipes, our flags, our members were there every day. I spoke on the microphone a couple times. But we gave him hell, and we continue to do that. We continue to fight Scott Walker, even though we are exempt. So Mayor Soglin should remember that he was the one that, quite frankly, when he came out and marched with us, he wasn't mayor at the time. He had nothing to lose. So for him to come out when he says, "I came out from day one," well, who were you? And he had nothing to lose.
Citizen Soglin?
Yeah, Citizen
Grumpy Pants?
He came out and he was trying to get the limelight with us, and all we were trying to do was do the right thing. Now they call it solidarity. Back then we just called it doing the right thing. So he's trying to rewrite history. That's what people do when they get desperate. But, you know, we're going to keep working and keep working at beating and defeating Scott Walker like we started back in 2011.
Well, careful, Mahlon. When you talk through the whole segment, we call it filibustering around here. Come back.
That?
It'll be Kathleen's turn next.
To filibuster.
Dim Fight Club. Mahlon Mitchell, Kathleen Vinehout, Devil's Advocates, right here on Brady.
Well, you asked me a question.
This is your first night at Fight Club. You have to fight.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing.
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
James Santel, he's a former U.S. attorney. He's our guest live on Brady.
Once again, a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen, to talk about the latest news breaking as we speak.
The FBI raided Michael Cohen, Trump's personal attorney, but once they got there, then they went back and got a more thorough warrant and said, we'll take everything.
My first reaction is you need to teach criminal constitutional law. You've got it just right in terms of the process.
They are kind of a big deal.
This is a really big deal.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Later this summer, the Bradley Center will be demolished and several community groups will inherit equipment and fixtures from the building thanks to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Public Schools will receive doors, mirrors, bathroom stall partitions, toilets, and wash stations, and Habitat for Humanity will receive equipment and furnishings from the Luxury Box Suites. In addition, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 494, will get electrical equipment that they can use to train apprentices and journeyman electricians. Outside this afternoon, rain likely, and then a 40% chance of rain tonight. Lows tonight around 60 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, highs in the upper 60s in Milwaukee, mid-70s in Madison. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
That's my woman.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Little Dem Fight Club. Mahlon loves it when I say it like that. I got Kathleen Vinehout.
Do I get a question now?
Right here, and Dem gubernatorial candidate Mahlon Mitchell right over there. Apparently complaining about something. I wasn't really listening. And it's not your turn, so sit there quietly for just a moment, sir. Okay, Kathleen. You voted against the caucus on guns. You know that this pissed off a lot of good Dems. Kathleen, explain your vote in the Senate on the gun issue. I believe it was waiting list or 48 hours waiting period. You didn't vote with the Dems, and there are some Dems that take umbrage. How do you explain your vote, Kathleen?
Well, this was the very last day of the session. We were passing Scott Walker's school safety bill, which wasn't nearly enough money, and it was only one-time money. And we were all thinking, what do we do? What do we agree? Where do we find common ground? And we decided that we were going to put together an amendment that did have a sustainable funding for school safety, that there were certain things we strongly agreed on. Background checks was one. I believe that we cannot eliminate private sales, and so I had an amendment that included the background checks and included private sales and gun shows and all those things that need to be fixed. And we all agreed machine guns were illegal, and anything that made a machine gun illegal or, made a semi-automatic machine gun should be illegal. So we had a piece on bump stocks. But 48-hour waiting period was a little bit different because back in 2015, when the National Instant Criminal Background Check System got all up and running, which happened a while ago, the state came in and we said, we don't need the 48-hour waiting period on handguns. It passed unanimously. There was nobody that opposed it. And I felt like it was dishonest to say in an amendment at the last minute, the last day of session, we're going to say, oh, we were opposed to, we got rid of the 48-hour waiting period, and now we're going to go back and bring it back when it's a dumb amendment that we know is never going to pass. So we had an agreement among the caucus. One of my colleagues decided that he didn't like the agreement. It didn't go far enough, so he came up at the last minute with another amendment. And I'm like, this is dishonest to people. Everybody here voted to get rid of the 48-hour waiting period. If you guys really want to have a 48-hour waiting period and you make it for handguns, bring back a bill. Have a hearing. This is not the way to pass legislation that really means anything. It didn't mean anything. It was consistent with the way I'd voted and everybody else had voted in 2015. So yeah, it was a big deal, but it was for some folks that didn't know the history on it. But for me, it was just the only honest thing I could do.
Okay, Mahlon, your turn's coming, but since I got you on the spot, got to ask you, one of your opponents in the Dem gubernatorial field came out and declared that they were the only pro-choice female candidate Kathleen, got to ask you, where do you stand pro-choice abortion?
Women need access to abortion. They need safe family planning services and abortion services. I had a sister that almost died of a self-induced abortion a long time ago, and I know that if we don't have safe abortion services, women will die. And that is consistent with my voting record. There are some folks that want to invent an issue, that are deliberately trying to go behind the scenes and pull people's hair and say, hey, maybe I'll lie about this person and see if she jumps. But all of my voting records are public. People can go to my website and look at the details, and I stand behind that. That's my history. I've got 12 years of history of voting on it.
Mahlon Mitchell. You are literally the personification of a big government union boss.
Am I?
And that's the way you're going to be characterized.
You know a lot of African American union bosses?
Well, you are a union boss,
But
and you know Scott Walker is
You don't know a
going
lot
to
of African
characterize
American
you.
union bosses, but go ahead.
Okay, well, I would say, how do you respond to what you know is going to be the criticism should you win the primary? Mahlon, you're going to be called a big government union boss. Explain yourself, if you feel you must.
Where they're going to say something bad about me. Believe it or not, I believe the Republicans have already said it, and they're going to keep on saying it, and that is that I'm a union boss. But you know what? If being a union boss is, when I take off my gear, I actually go and work on behalf of members that help others, right? That respond to our community on the worst days of their lives. And we have to be at our best when most people are at their worst.
Or as Republicans would describe it, double dipping in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. But anyway, back to, do I get to answer my own question without you interrupting?
I'm sorry.
Okay. So if being a union boss is responding to and helping brothers and sisters that respond to medical emergencies, that run into burning buildings, and advocating for their hours, wages, and working conditions, and I've said it before, you can don me what you want. If the union boss is the word they want to use, that's fine. But I don't run away from that, because unions also help build the best middle class in the world. Best middle class in the world, unions help build. And unions help keep a balance of power that right now we're seeing that is not fair. So unions are there for a reason. And if unions were not needed, why would billionaires spend millions of dollars to try to get rid of us? That's a question for you.
Well, I think they wanted to divide and conquer.
Oh, okay, good.
You don't want me answering questions up in here, man.
Well, you were a gubernatorial candidate once, too.
Let's leave that out of it.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, Dem Fight Club. In studio, Wisconsin State Senator Kathleen Vinehout and Mahlon Mitchell, president of the Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin.
Union boss.
Big government union boss.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining. We went over some BLS job numbers yesterday on the show. In the last 3 months, Wisconsin's lost just under 10,000 jobs. Last month, we were the biggest job loser in the country. Governor Walker says Wisconsin is winning, but yet we see these job losses. If you are to be governor, I'll start with you on this one, Mahlon, what do you do to create the environment for non-farm private sector job creation here in the state of Wisconsin to at least maybe keep up with the national average? We haven't even been able to do that under this Republican administration. What are your thoughts on job creation and retention here in Wisconsin?
Well, I believe we create jobs from the bottom up. I met yesterday with some folks from Moiseny, Wisconsin. You know where that is? Up by Wausau.
North, yeah.
And Hank.
North of here.
Yeah. Hank Newell, who was used to run Wausau Paper, right? And the hedge fund came in, essentially took away his job, took over his board, and then eventually in Brokaw, Wisconsin. But essentially, that's where the Brokaw Act came from, that Tammy Baldwin's fighting for. But their family, his wife, they're great people. And at the end of the day, the way, in my opinion, that we raise job creation, that we actually raise and help and stabilize our economy is by way of running jobs from the bottom up. So when we have people have more money in their pockets, and we always talk about the middle class, but we never talk about people that are living below middle class wages. When people have more money in their pocket, what do with it? They spend it. They spend it. And when people are spending more money and they have more money in their pocket, that in turn creates jobs because more goods and services have to be produced for the people spending more money. So I've come out, if you go to MahlonMitchell.com again, I've come out for $15 an hour before it was sexy, before everybody else was saying we should do it. We have a plan where we're going to raise $15 an hour as a floor, but we're going to have sectoral commissions around the state because what you can get in Marquette County or Adams County or Menominee County is not what you can pay for in Milwaukee or Waukesha or Dane County. It's going to require more money. So it's not just $15 an hour, but it's actually creating a wage that is sustainable, that's family sustaining, but also is something that will be something that will help our future. And that's what we have to do in order to actually build our economy. It goes from the bottom up, not from the top down.
Kathleen, same question. The Republicans and, of course, Governor Walker, still trickle-down economics. We have a manufacturing and egg tax credit costing, $300 million a year, over double what they estimated it was going to be. And yet, in that one particular year, we lost about, 4,400 manufacturing jobs.
Just under 4,000, about $400 million in manufacturing wages, 2016, when it was fully implemented.
So as a policy that doesn't seem to be doing the job, what do you think, Kathleen? Is there a specific policy issue that you would advocate to help, spur on some job creation here in the state of Wisconsin?
Absolutely. We got to stop cash subsidies, and that's exactly what's happening with Foxconn and all of these refundable tax credits. We got to get rid of cash subsidies and tax credits to a very few companies, and we got to take that money and reinvest it, do what government does best. So I just talked to a guy at Juneteenth Day that had a almost $500 bill on it because his struts in his back and went out when he hit a pothole. Where is business going to come and locate it if they can't drive the streets without getting a new repair bill on their truck?
I think the Scott holes are part of Governor Walker's economic development plan.
Well, it's exactly the opposite of the direction we need to go if we want to create a great place to live and a great place to start a business. We need to invest in great schools, safe streets, parks, the arts, our UW, our tech colleges, the streets, the roads. What government does best, government needs to do best. And the money has been taken away from local government and given to these few corporations. There's no single pot of money with $3 or $4.5 billion waiting to give to Foxconn. That money doesn't that money doesn't exist. It's going to be taken out of the 85% of our budget. Our general funds budget is made up of healthcare, schools, corrections, the UW, and local government, all things that are falling apart. So we got to rearrange the priorities. If you think about an example of where things are really working, I represent the city of Eau Claire. In the governor and at least the guy from Taiwan said, he's going to put 3,000 new jobs in the plant before this 13,000 figure came up. In Eau Claire, over 3.5 years, 3,000 jobs were created with no big, huge investment by the state. And every single one of those companies that came to Eau Claire, when they were asked, why did you pick Eau Claire? What they said was Eau Claire's a great place to live, great schools, great roads, great systems, great university system, great tech college. And that was a concerted effort to get Eau Claire to that place by the business community, the tech colleges, the universities, the local government people, the city and the county, the residents working together to create a great place to live. If you can think of it, if you would give me a break for thinking of a farmer analogy, I imagine it as the fertile soil is what government does. And when you have fertile soil, all plants grow. Not just one plant, all plants grow.
Kathleen, what about the concept that perhaps we're stimulating old industry and maybe we need to grow some jobs, entrepreneurship? Dead last in the nation in entrepreneurship. If elected governor, how would you change that for Wisconsin?
Well, I told you I'd get rid of the cash subsidies and tax credits. I would move the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation back into state government so we could see what's happening, because right now they're sitting on, last time I checked, a $65 million reserve fund that nobody knows about that's off books. So we need to see what's happening, and then we need to take that economic development money that is left, which is a substantial amount of money, and help grow local businesses. I met so many people today at Juneteenth Day that had a great idea. They had a huge fire in their belly for doing something that was really innovative and different that they wanted to pour their heart and soul into. And they needed a little bit of help. They needed help maybe with a business plan or access to capital, or they needed help with some erasing or lowering some regulatory barriers. This is where our communities grow from. It is the small businesses, it is the medium-sized businesses when they expand or when they start up that really grow the jobs of our economy. This is what we need to be focusing on as a state.
Thank goodness for Ron Johnson's 21% tax cut for small businesses. I'm sorry, I had to throw it out there.
But you know what? There's a lot of things that we can do to help that entrepreneur that has a great idea and just needs a little support. And I met so many of those people today, right here, right in Milwaukee.
Mahlon, you talked about $15 an hour, fight for 15. You obviously wear the mantle of union proudly. What about Act 10? Can it be repealed? You're going to roll back Act 10 and right to work and prevailing wage. These are the actions of a governor who has undermined the workforce, but how do you go about changing it back, rolling it back? What's your plan?
Well, it's very clear where I stand with Act 10. We marched against it every day. Right to work, prevailing wage, PLAs being taken away, project labor agreements. So it's very clear where I stand with that. But you'll hear a lot of my opponents say on the Dem side that they're going to repeal it from day one. They're going to repeal right to work, repeal prevailing wage. Well, you know what? If you know how things get done at the state level and how you get done by what way of legislation, you're not going to do it from day one, because you have to actually, even if we had a Democratic Senate and Assembly, you have to actually have it pass through both houses in order to repeal Act 10 and right to work, because that's how it got passed, right? Now they tried to do it with not in a budget repair bill, and they tried to do it without any transparency. And they even told us that, you know, after a week or so, everybody will go home. Don't be part of protests. Don't be part of any action against Act 10. You guys are fine. You'll be okay. But you know, Act 10 happened over time, and it happened through legislation. So in order to actually get it back, we saw what happened with gerrymandering and with the redistricting in the U.S. Supreme Court. So in order to actually get Act 10 back or repealed, we're going to have to pass it through both houses. I will tell you this. I would love to repeal Act 10, and we're going to work like hell to get it done. But if we don't, I'm going to actually make sure that every entity, employer that does any business with the state has to sit down and talk about employers, wages, and working hours, wages, working conditions, and talk with their employer about that and their employees. And that's how we're going to get back to actually having full collective bargaining, because collective bargaining is what we need back in the state to make sure that we have that balance of power, so that we don't have this teeter right now where all the influence and all the powers at the top, and employees are essentially begging for crumbs while they're eating lobster and steak at a table. But I want to repeal Act 10. I want to repeal right to work. And of course, and I want to bring back prevailing wage, because those are middle-class jobs, middle-class wages that we need in our state. And right now we're seeing a race to the bottom, unfortunately.
Mahlon, you got one sentence to answer this. What is priority number one? One bite of the apple, what would it be?
I'm going to make sure we raise wages for all workers in the state of Wisconsin.
How about you, Kathleen?
Putting people first, center at the state, center of state policy, center when it comes to state priorities.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates. We put our audience first. Obviously, it's not Dominic first. Come back with us.
Or Dominic.
We will answer or ask more questions of two fine dim gubernatorial candidates, Mahlon Mitchell, Kathleen Vinehout. We'll be right back. Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio Network.
Someone yells stop, goes limp, taps out. The fight is over.
Here at Bounce Milwaukee, we not only want families and friends to build connections, we also want to grow those connections in our community. That's why every Wednesday night from 5 to 8 p.m., we host Refuel the Resistance. It's a great chance to have a drink in our arcade bar, try something from our fantastic restaurant, connect with progressive activists, and support local organizations. For more information about Bounce Milwaukee's Refuel the Resistance, visit us at bouncemilwaukee.com or call 414-312-4357.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
What are you waiting for? It's time to join the union. I'm Andy Buck, field representative with the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 7 of Wisconsin. You're already doing the work. You deserve to make a fair wage. You work hard, but your body isn't going to last forever. Cash feels great in your hand, but having health insurance, a safe workplace, and a secure retirement gives you peace of mind. Join the union and make your job your career. Look us up online, Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. If you're a painter, glazer, drywall finisher, start getting paid like it. Join the union.
All workers benefit from unions, as unions create the highest standard in wages, health and welfare, retirement security, and workplace protections. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters General Local 200. Your voice is your strength. The ability to build a stronger and better tomorrow begins today. Teamsters Local 200 represents workers in numerous industries, and our team is ready to sit down with you and your co-workers to build your unified team. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us on Facebook or www.teamsterslocal200.com.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exodus.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Mahlon Mitchell, Kathleen Vinehout join us in studio for a Dem debate. Running out of time, want to get one question out there. Governor Walker is sending National Guard troops, Wisconsin citizens, to the border to, I guess, help tear children away from, immigrants' families. I want to get your thoughts on that. Would you do such a thing, Mr. Mitchell?
I would not. And the law states that the governor can actually, no matter what he tells you, the governor actually can say no. And definitely I would not. Matter of fact, I would actually take care of things here first at home before we have anything to do with anything outside of Wisconsin. But, that goes to a further point. And that is that, separating kids from their families. Today is Juneteenth, actually. And you have kids being separated from their families. There was another time where that happened, and that was slavery, where they separated kids from their families. You had Jeff Sessions, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, actually use a Bible scripture that actually they used the same time to essentially make slavery okay during that time. So we're in a really bad place in America. We always say we're better than this, but we have to actually prove that we are better than this. And when it comes to Donald Trump, unfortunately, the answer, if you're black, the answer is more cops. If you're Mexican, the answer is build a wall. And now separates you from your children. And if you're Muslim, the answer is a travel ban. So there's a lot we can do as a country, as a state, to make sure that we're taking care of all peoples, because we are a nation of immigrants. And we have to make sure that everyone is treated fairly. And that's what the United States of America is all about.
Mrs. Vinehout, 1 minute.
No, absolutely not. I would not send troops to the border. This policy is abhorrent. It's inhumane. It has to stop. A group of legislators are trying to force the governor to stop it, including me. It's horrible. We need to take care of things at home. If we're going to send the National Guard anywhere, let's deal with the flooding in Gilmanton and all across the state we're dealing with right now.
Thank you so much, Mahlon Mitchell, Kathleen Vinehout, two good friends, two fine dim gubernatorial candidates. That ends today's little dim Fight Club.
I know, it goes so fast.
New Marquette University Law School polling comes out tomorrow. Maybe we'll reshuffle the deck and try it again. Coming up next, Mark Thomsen, lawyer for Sterling Brown, will talk. The federal lawsuit dropped today in Milwaukee. Thank you so much, candidates.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really...
Bark and Scratch Outpost. Free local same-day delivery. That's right, free local same-day delivery from Origin, Stella, and Chewy's. Order all your favorite products online at MilwaukeePetFood.com. At Bark and Scratch Outpost, we think outside the bag.
Come on down, you will see. We do it naturally. MilwaukeePetFood.com. Bark and Scratch Outpost.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
My Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
I think that you guys are filling a very important space. I think African Americans consume radio at a very high rate, and they really rely on radio for information. And so, word of warning to all those candidates out there, don't ignore these inexpensive ways to advertise.
Well, wait until we get our FM. They're going to get more expensive all the time.
Radio for the 99%.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Making his case. Bad trading day. I'm Mike Moss. President Trump is calling for Congress to give him the authority to incarcerate entire families who illegally try to get over the southern border.
We got to stop separation of the families, but politically correct or not, we have a country that needs security, that needs safety, that has to be protected.
Bob Costantini says the proposal comes just before a key Capitol Hill meeting.
Mr. Trump telling independent business owners what he sees as the solution to the child separation crisis.
The legal authority to detain and promptly remove families together as a unit.
What he clearly wants more than anything in this controversy is funding for his border wall to the tune of $25 billion, a matter that might require some Democratic votes, even in the House. Bob Costantini, Washington.
The security company Symantec charges computers based in China hacked into satellite operations, defense contractors, and telecommunications in the U.S. and Southeast Asia. Symantec says the hackers infected computers and could have caused major disruptions. China says it will respond forcefully if the U.S. imposes additional tariffs on $200 billion in Chinese goods. The threat of a potential trade war sent the markets down sharply today. The Dow closed down 287.
That drop puts the Dow back in negative territory for the year and marks its longest losing streak in 15 months. Investors are finding it harder to ignore the escalating trade tensions between the U.S. and China. Russia is now also getting involved. Its economy minister announcing it'll impose tariffs on U.S. road building machinery. Apple was down 1.6%, despite President Trump saying iPhones wouldn't be subject to tariffs.
Correspondent Steve Burns on Wall Street. Late word from the White House. Deputy Chief of Staff Joe Hagan is resigning. Hagan recently led the advance team for the Singapore summit with Kim Jong-un. I'm Mike.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
AT&T is joining Verizon in pledging to end sales of phone location data to brokers.
It's a practice that drew criticism on Capitol Hill for putting privacy at risk. A sale of data that lets third parties track wireless devices without the phone owner's knowledge or consent. Verizon was the first big U.S. carrier to pledge to stop it, and AT&T followed suit. Verizon revealed its plans to stop selling locator data in a letter to Democratic Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon. He's among the lawmakers looking into whether tighter privacy regulations are called for. I'm Jan Johnson.
Those married may be less likely to develop cardiovascular disease or die from a heart attack or stroke. Researchers examined data from 34 previous studies involving 2 million people. An explosion at a North London subway station today, not thought to be terrorism, but all possibilities are being investigated. A few people needed medical care.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Person who's against these regulations to keep poop out of your water and poison out of your food. If, one of their offspring had a third arm coming out of their forehead.
I would just think that would be awkward. You'd be very top heavy.
But you would be one heck of a football player.
How would they make a helmet?
All you gotta do is cut a hole in the helmet for the hand to come through, and you could catch
but then
passes
you're elbowing
all over
everybody in the face every time you walk around.
Wear an elbow pad. You'd be fine.
How would you see?
You would be a heck of a football player.
Would you be an arm unicorn?
414 Wisconsin, weekdays 2 to 3 p.m. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Wisconsin National Guard troops are heading to the Mexico border in Arizona. 24 Guard soldiers and airmen are headed to the border to support Customs and Border Patrol agents. The volunteers come from several units around the state and should be in Arizona by the end of the week. Democratic Representative Gordon Hintz criticized the deployment of Wisconsin Guard members and called on Scott Walker to withhold the troops until the Republican policy of separating children from their parents comes to an end. Outside this afternoon, rain likely, and then a 40% chance of rain tonight. Lows tonight around 60 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, highs in the upper 60s in Milwaukee, mid-70s in Madison. And then Thursday, partly sunny, with highs around 70 in Milwaukee, mid-70s in Madison. You're listening to Resistance Radio.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates radio show. Want to thank the Dem Bike Club participants, Senator Kathleen Vinehout, Mahlon Mitchell, two fine guests, two friends of ours. And Dominic, we welcome a new fine guest right now. He is attorney Mark Thomsen, Gingrich, Cates, and walks in his role as representative for Milwaukee Bucks player Sterling Brown. Mark, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, Mark.
Mark, I understand you filed a lawsuit, a federal lawsuit, on behalf of your client, Sterling Brown, today. What does this lawsuit allege, sir?
We have carefully set out the facts we were able to put together from watching the various videos and the few reports that we were able to obtain at this point in view, and set out in rather detail how Mr. Brown's constitutional rights were violated and by what officers. And then we focused in on the fact that Chief Morales has not disciplined these officers for violating Mr. Brown's civil rights, despite the fact that he went out on public and apologized. And Mr. Brown is utilizing his status as someone of public importance. The fact that you put me on your show reflects that, to tell the story of what has happened too often in this city, of how young African-American men are not treated as citizens and their rights disregarded. And by filing this lawsuit, we hope to put the spotlight on the city and City Hall to see if we can actually turn things around in the city and come up with a plan to address this problem that is on this rainy day, that's, as a dark cloud over our city. And we'll really, unless we get at the root cause of this, we're not going to be able to move on in this new millennium. So we are hoping, and Mr. Brown is hoping, that the powers that be in City Hall not just apologize, but actually admit that what happened was a violation of the constitutional rights. And I hope that they do that in their answer. It would be a first. And it would send a message to the city that City Hall is ready to take a look at this and see if we can do better. And that's what Mr. Brown wants to do. He is young, is proud to be playing in the city, and the city has a real unique opportunity to do something unique and think big, and that's what we're hoping.
What does a just resolution look like as far as your client's concerned, Mark?
I think it's threefold. One, the city needs to not only publicly just apologize to Mr. Brown, but it needs to admit legally that his constitutional rights were violated. Second, I think the city, and we know that the Fire and Police Commission have done an audit of the chief's discipline, but I would certainly hope, and Mr. Brown hopes, that the officers involved are actually disciplined for violating his rights, because until officers are disciplined when they violate someone's civil rights, they're going to continue to do it with impunity. And in the process, everything that every decent, hardworking, good officer does gets disregarded. And third, we hope that the city sits down with Mr. Brown and maybe community organizations, and we come up with a creative investment to really get at this. What can we do to better relationships between the African American community and the police department, the minority community generally? What can we do to deconstruct our segregated reality? And I think that is what Mr. Brown hopes to accomplish. And not only that, maybe Milwaukee can do something big and be an example for something positive nationally, as opposed to always being footnoted as the most segregated city or one of the most segregated cities in America. Frankly, I live here and I'm sick of it.
Attorney Mark Thomsen, his client Sterling Brown, a Milwaukee Bucks player. Mark, did it undermine your client's goodwill when you realized the city rolled out a less than transparent initial press conference and the entirety of the video was not released, not to the public? We found out more details subsequently, not through normal channels even. So did the lack of transparency, the lack of the chief answering direct questions, did any of that help you and your client arrive where you are today, which is with a new federal lawsuit?
And now I think, the chief is going to have to answer for his conduct. We had been processing the information, and when the chief came out and apologized, and then he admitted that he hadn't reviewed all the video and that he hadn't provided all the information to the Fire and Police Commission. He hadn't provided that information to the city attorney. He hadn't provided that information to the mayor. I think it is an opportune time for the city to look at all that. Why is that the case? If our new chief of police says he's going to be transparent, why wasn't he transparent? And he's got to account to the Fire and Police Commission. And as we said in our federal lawsuit, either the investigation was inadequate and incompetent, or it's a cover-up. And we're going to find out.
A cover-up. Oh, Mark, I'm so with you. I'm so tired of this, and I have not lived in this wonderful city my entire life. I came down here around the time of the Frank Jude beating, and the lies then, and the officers lied during trial and didn't actually tell the truth until a federal investigation came down. I mean, what's so shameful is there are a lot of good cops out there. I know some of them right here on Brady Street. And the terrible thing is they're going to get washed with the same brush. But my concern is organizationally, something systemic within the Milwaukee Police Department. Morales came out and had a press conference, but didn't take any questions, didn't provide any of the video or audio. And as Crudy mentioned, subsequently we find out that that was not the entirety of the story. And the discipline, I'm not clear, and I'm hoping you can let me know, Mark, what was the discipline imposed upon the officers by the Milwaukee Police Department after this incident?
We still haven't been provided with all the information, but I have seen a complaint that the chief filed with the Fire and Police Commission as it related to Sergeant Mankey, where it pointed out that Sergeant Mankey was disciplined 15 days, a 2-week vacation, for not intervening, because when he got there, he should have known that Officer Graham should have just written Mr. Brown a parking ticket, and that should have ended it. What Chief Morales didn't do, however, was he didn't discipline Officer Mankey for his involvement in the attack and takedown of Mr. Brown. If you read it, the chief adopted what I call the fabricated post-incident story by the officers that's they were justified in taking him down. And that is not the kind of discipline that needs to happen. You can't do wink, wink. You get 2 weeks of vacation, but you participated in this takedown. You participated in watching him get tased, stepped on, and you're not disciplined for that. I mean, that's
right, and what does that do?
Completely outrageous.
And of course, these officers, even if they're found to be guilty or liable in this case, and you are successful, they don't go to their own pocket to pay for this. This comes out of the city's tax dollars. Again, added to the $20+ million that we spent. But this suspension, Mark, do we know if it was paid or unpaid suspension?
I'm assuming it's not paid. I just use the term. I don't know. I hope it's unpaid. But
well, and this is part of
this much I do know is that there was an officer who was singing "Money, Money, Money, Money" in his car as he went to sleep and got paid overtime celebrating his involvement in this violation of Sterling Brown's rights. And those are my tax dollars and your tax dollars and everybody that lives in the city. And the fact that the chief wouldn't have disciplined that conduct is beyond me. So, I mean, I think the chief has to be accountable.
Well,
and that was one of the reasons why we filed this lawsuit.
And it goes on from the official actions of the police officers. They went to their personal social media pages and joked about it? This is new news to me, Mark. What did you find on some of these posts from some of these officers?
Citizens were kind enough to provide Mr. Brown and me with posts that reflect fundamentally racist attitude. And essentially, I mean, they have let me rephrase that. They have turned this incident of the abuse of Mr. Brown in the Walgreens parking lot as a joke and as a shorthand term for punishing people. And when officers do that publicly and then they engage on their private Facebook page with events that they were involved in at work, presumably that's against the rules, and we're going to find out. And that's why it was put in the complaint, so the public would know what we know at this point in time.
Mark Thomsen, attorney, Gingras, Cates, and Wachs, the fine attorney for Sterling Brown of the Milwaukee Bucks. Mark, I can give you about 30 more seconds. Any final thoughts for our audience on the lawsuit?
I just want to thank the two of you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of Mr. Brown, and he is in turn speaking for all those folks, young African-American men that have been treated just like he was, but did not have an audience like Mr. Brown has. And together we can make this a better city, and together there is hope. And Mr. Brown is 23. He loves playing here. He's proud to play here. And he wants us to be a city for the future and get over this ugly past.
Attorney Mark Thomsen, thank you so much for joining us here on the Devil's Advocates today. We're going to open up the phone lines, 844-967-2789. Going to break, coming back with your calls.
Well, first of all, there is no police brutality in America. We ended that back in the 60s.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience, an ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
What are you waiting for? It's time to join the union. I'm Andy Buck, field representative with the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 7 of Wisconsin. You're already doing the work. You deserve to make a fair wage. You work hard, but your body isn't going to last forever. Cash feels great in your hand, but having health insurance, a safe workplace, and a secure retirement gives you peace of mind. Join the union and make your job your career. Look us up online, Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. If you're a painter, glazer, drywall finisher, start getting paid like it. Join the union.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA not only in my state but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hey, you want to get high, man?
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming on the YouTube and Facebook channels. On Twitter at Devil Radio, on the party line to talk or text 844-967-2789.
Thank you to our most recent guest, Mark Thomsen, Gingras, Cates, and Walks. He is the attorney for Sterling Brown and a friend of ours. We appreciate him joining us on the air. Dom, it is the 420 break, and I have breaking news to announce.
Yes.
Scott Walker must be high.
He's smoking something.
I think he has been. Dom, he made a provably false assertion today and has got a new ad to support, his big lie. Big Fat Welder, that one, that governor of ours. Matthew DeFore, the one that created the term Big Fat Welder. Like, I can't call Scott Walker a Big Fat Welder all the time.
Instead of a liar.
Yeah.
Wasn't the point question being, why don't journalists
you call the man a liar to his face?
Yes, you're a big fat liar. Scott Walker, you are, but I get it. I mean,
do you want to hear what the welder had to say?
I want to hear what the welder had to say.
I'm affirming the fact that I'm a pro-education governor. Walker said in an interview Monday. I'm going to continue to be a pro-education governor and build off that. Don't mind the Act 10.
Just because he says it doesn't make it true.
Don't mind the villainization of the teachers. Don't mind the massive cuts. Second most greatest per pupil cut in the entire nation? I think we only trailed Alabama.
But he's putting $200 per student back into the classroom.
Every year. Both years of the new biennium budget. Although we're still like $300 million behind where we certainly would have been, should have been, if we simply followed the rate of inflation. Scott Walker, man, he must have some good stuff, man.
Give me some of that, Walker.
I need whatever you're smoking, Gubernator Walker.
He did roll out an ad. I think we have this one, Fancy Brian. I need your help on cut number 8. Scott Walker's campaign ad, students.
Am I getting paid for playing this on the radio?
I teach elementary school in Racine, and I can tell you, one size does not fit all when it comes to our kids. And Governor Walker gets it. He gave schools flexibility to put money where it matters most, in our classroom. And his latest budget adds $200 more per year for every student.
With a record investment in schools, more money for our technical college programs, and a 6-year tuition freeze for all UW campuses, we're putting students first.
You can't say record investment in schools after you had a record withdrawal decline in investment in schools.
Sure you can when it's your own campaign ad.
But I think that's a big fat liar. I don't think that's an accurate statement.
I would wonder if anyone in our audience might have some response to Governor Scott Walker's newest high pie in the sky assertion.
Smoke him if you got him, Walker.
I'm a pro-education governor, and I'm going to continue to be a pro-education governor and build off that. Well, let's hope not for much longer. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Phone lines open for your calls or text. 844-967-2789. Don't forget, tweet us out at Devil Radio.
We don't know who you are or where you're going.
Mostly Maui Wowie, man. Yeah? But it's got some Labrador in it.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Tweens have mastered the art of tuning out. Jen, there's a spider in the car. We're turning your room into a home gym. See? Nothing. But some messages need to get through, like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's hard to dream when you're fighting for 15. This is Pizza Box Mike for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Check out fightfor15.org to get involved in the fight for 15.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella, Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. We provide 99.999% uptime. That's the highest availability and performance you can get. You have enough to worry about with your business data, web, security, and cloud services, so we'll manage your IT so you don't have to. Visit 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Dad, this is fun.
I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm gonna return the kayak.
Can we walk home?
How about a taxi?
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Josh Call, the candidate for Wisconsin Attorney General.
Do you think voter ID had a suppressive effect, not on 100 voters, but on thousands of voters and perhaps tipped the election to Donald Trump?
This is an issue that came up at our trial. And first of all, I should thank you guys because we actually introduced into evidence the recording of you interviewing Dale Schultz, who was talking about the passage of the voter ID law. That was one of our pieces of evidence.
I would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Later this summer, the Bradley Center will be demolished and several community groups will inherit equipment and fixtures from the building thanks to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Public Schools will receive doors, mirrors, bathroom stall partitions, toilets, and wash stations, and Habitat for Humanity will receive equipment and furnishings from the Luxury Box Suites. In addition, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 494, will get electrical equipment that they can use to train apprentices and journeyman electricians. Outside this afternoon, rain likely, and then a 40% chance of rain tonight. Lows tonight around 60 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, highs in the upper 60s in Milwaukee, mid-70s in Madison. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
I don't know if you know the devil's advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. For those of you that knew us from the very, very beginning, the genesis of this fine program.
The old days.
That used to be our show song, Dom.
Great song.
For what it's worth, we are still the greatest radio show ever.
Yes.
And
Just
we love this
us.
song. We love this song, and we love our audience. We love when you participate in this fine show at 844-967-2789. Our something smoking gubernator, Scotty Wanker, today. I'm a pro-education governor. And that's what he's going to claim in these ads, Dom. And he's going to run lots and lots of ads. Man's got millions to spend on ads. And the Democrats, and we hosted two fine Dems today, Mahlon Mitchell, Senator Kathleen Vinehout, little Dem Fight Club here on Brady Street, trying to help sort out the Dem gubernatorial field. And maybe the Marquette University Law School poll will help to demonstrate who's getting stronger and who's getting weaker. Tomorrow that drops, we're going to have Charles Franklin on this big show at 5 o'clock tomorrow, dropping the brand new Marquette University Law School numbers. But in the interim, Dom, we got lots of Dems struggling to get some headlines, struggling to get some traction. And in the meantime, the governor gets to go out and make any sort of... I mean, I'm having a hard time not swearing when I describe the bold-faced lies that this man utilizes to cover for his record.
I mean, if there was any other topic that the governor could be more not supportive of, what would it be?
He's also big for unions. I'm union loving Walker. I mean, I don't know what other.
And I believe in a woman's right to choose.
It's a difficult decision.
And I am fiscally responsible.
You can tell it's an election year. I mean,
and Governor Walker is all about small governance. Doesn't want to pick winners or losers. Leave it up to the free market. Those are all things that Governor Walker doesn't do.
You're contrasting his actual stated policy with Foxconn, let's say?
Yes, that's a perfect example.
A $4.5 billion giveaway to a foreign corporation, largest in our nation's history.
With your tax dollars, yes. And at the same time, these freedom-loving Republicans will say, well, it's free market capitalism. Well, how does that work? How is it free market capitalism when you take the government's dollars, the people's tax dollars, and give it away, pick the winners and losers to subsidize, I don't know what, maybe your campaign?
I'm not clear that Republicans have any sort of moral compass? At this point, I mean, they're just on the partisan team.
Is moral a currency?
Whatever.
Is moral a currency? Is that like a foreign currency, or is that like a Bitcoin? Moral?
I'm not understanding your joke.
The word moral.
Yes.
It means something like morals. I'm saying it's a currency. It's it's like Bitcoin. The only currency they have is money. It's all about the money.
So morals play no part. Christianity, any of that stuff plays no part. Their stated ideology plays no part. It's whoever's writing the check.
Yes.
Whoever's in charge, whoever's Big Papa in charge, be it Scott Walker in the state of Wisconsin.
Or Donald Trump in the United States.
We can forgive any sin. We can turn our back on any bold-faced lie as long as our guy says it.
Yes.
But God forbid the black president tries to give people health care.
Kenyan.
Let's repeal and replace. 844-967-2789. Let's get to the phones. Talk some sanity with some people. Betsy, welcome to the show. How you feeling?
I'm feeling angry as all hell.
Let it out, girl. Just don't swear.
Mostly let it out. In an FCC compliant fashion.
Why can you say bitch? I don't understand how you can say that on the air like I just did.
Biatch.
But anyway.
Betsy, are you calling Governor Walker a bitch? Because I don't know if name calling is really necessary.
No, there's nothing. I don't know who's more disgusting, Scott Walker or Donald Trump. I mean, my God. I mean, really, you guys, she's already trying to run for president. Don't you hear it? I mean...
You think Walker's running for president? I wondered as recently as yesterday his involvement of Wisconsin National Guard troops and protecting the southern border, while many other Republican governors are pulling back saying, hey, this is inhumane treatment. And Scott Walker, let's get out there and make a headline. I think you might be right, Betsy. I think he's already angling. I mean, it's been his blind ambition since he was a Weeblo scout.
Yeah.
Of course he's running for president.
Yeah, and this punt down the road that the Supreme Court did is just like, okay, let's give Walker one more run. You know, I mean...
But that one really doesn't affect Walker. Honestly, the gerrymandering case doesn't affect Walker, doesn't affect Tammy Baldwin, doesn't affect statewide office, only affects the assembly districts, 99 of them, and 99 assembly districts, 3 each make up the senatorial districts. So when we talk about the gerrymandering lawsuit in the state of Wisconsin, what we were hoping for was a resetting of the assembly maps and by extension, the senatorial state Senate maps. But this lawsuit, or lack of a decision, lack of weighing in on the merits by the U.S. Supreme Court, really does not factor into statewide races like Scott Walker versus whichever Dem comes through, or Tammy Baldwin versus, Nurse Ratchet, I'll shoot you in the face, or Kevin, my parents maxed out the Tammy Baldwin Nicholson.
Thank you for the call, Betsy. 844-967-2789. I just still have that vision of Vukmer at that kitchen table with a piece on the table. It's a bad scene.
Somebody's going to have to die, you or I.
Right, somebody dies tonight. Gene from Eau Claire, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Jeannie.
Hi, guys. Well, I'm glad the Queen of Alec is protecting herself with a weapon. She probably should, all the bad things that she did to the people in the state of Wisconsin. Oh, that woman, I can't stand her. Well, anyway, I want to talk about something, if you guys are okay with it, about the big elephant sitting in the middle of the room.
We got no Republicans in here.
Well, yeah, it involves them. What's happening on our border?
The Wisconsin border? There's going to be a lot of people coming up from Illinois to take those Foxconn jobs.
Yeah, I'm talking about in our way border in the country.
Oh, okay. You mean where our National Guard troops are going to rip babies from the arms of their mothers?
Yeah, to help assist in the ongoing child abuse perpetrated.
Child abuse. Come on, this is just a child hostages for negotiations.
I worked in the field. We were mandated to report child abuse. This thing of separating families and children, that is bad news. This everybody can identify with it. But when you got all first ladies coming out against this, when you got women who have children coming out about this behavior, and it's right at the top, and then you got an attorney general, our chief law enforcement person, utilizing the Bible to justify, guess what? Child abuse. You have psychologists on the television, and they have to be careful because, what happened in our state about silencing people, or you get, problems at your workplace or whatever, you speak out against our king of Wisconsin. But we got it in our country. So people have to be careful on how they word things. But when you hear the psychologists, when you hear people who have taken some of these kids, and these kids can't sleep, they can't eat, they're fearful, they've got all these things going on, you know god dang well that that's child abuse. And you can go and you can look in our state laws. This is child abuse. Yes, separating from their families, that's a rotten thing.
But, Jeannie, don't you understand? That's why Kirsten Nielsen was describing them as aliens. She was dehumanizing the children because if you describe them as aliens, they seem like something foreign. They're not our children. They're just aliens. But even the vocabulary they're using to describe these children is inhumane.
And see, this is the thing that's getting my goat. See, they're reframing this whatever the heck way they want. But this is the thing. We are doing this to the kids. We heard the kids crying. We've seen what's happening with the cages. This is right out, blatant, in your face child abuse. And we need to start using those terms because that's what's happening in our country. We are abusing those kids. Maybe their parents broke the law, but those kids are the ones that are being abused because they didn't have anything to do with this, and this will impact them for the rest of their lives with, post-traumatic stress disorder, lots of different things that can happen to these kids. This is the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in my life, and those people at the top need to be held accountable because this is straight out, in your face, child abuse. Thank you, President Trump, and thank you, Attorney General Sessions, for for hurting all the people in our country, and all of us need to open our mouths because a lot of people aren't comfortable with this. They know this is bad, but they don't want to use the words, and it is child abuse. Deal.
Thank you, Jeannie. Well said. I want to get a few more words out there, including these. Parents asked Governor Scott Walker to keep Wisconsin troops away from the Mexican border. Molly Beck reporting at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel Online. I'll read briefly. A group of parents is asking Governor Scott Walker to reverse his decision to send Wisconsin troops to help U.S. Border Patrol agents in light of President Donald Trump's policy to separate children from parents who cross the border illegally. Here's a quote. Heather Driscoll, she is the parent of Emma and Eben. It's our tax money that is going towards separating families at the border, and I'm so heartbroken. Though no one in Walker's office would meet with the group without an appointment. Does he meet with any stranger ever? I mean, if you're not on the invite list, if you didn't bring your checkbook,
yes,
he's not meeting with you. Though no one in Walker's office would meet with the group without an appointment, a spokeswoman for Walker said later anyone with concerns about the border policy should contact lawmakers in Congress.
Well, what a cop-out. You're the one
Buck
sending...
doesn't stop on my desk. Yeah.
It's just... listen, that is typical
Call
of what
Glenn
Republicans
Grothman
are right now. What does Walker say? Well, if you got a problem with this, call... You have a problem with me sending Wisconsin citizens down to the border...
At Wisconsin taxpayer expense.
They'll be reimbursed, I understand, from the federal government. But still... If you got a problem with that, talk to Congress. Well, what does that sound like to you? Sounds like the president. You got a problem with what we're doing here, this negotiation tactic, children taken for hostage so I can get my wall? Well, talk to those Democrats in Congress. It's passing the buck while still having the absolute ability. Walker could, right now, say, you know what, we're not sending those troops. Trump could, right now, say, you know what, we're not going to enforce this new policy. It is a new policy, all you Trumpites out there, no matter what you say, what you think, how many times you retweet Rush Limbaugh. This was not happening like this before. 844-967-2789. Let's get one more caller in before the break. Nick from Arcata, California. Hey, Nick, welcome back. What do you got for us today?
Hey, gosh, that's a very emotional issue, and good for her. She spoke the truth there, your last person chatted with you. I just want to run over the education system here on the West Coast, the leftist, out here in the blue state. Yeah. You could actually go to junior college, get a full AA degree, like in computer sciences, or, there's a lot of stuff, these are real degrees, okay? It's not like, whatever, painting USA or whatever.
It's not like a Trump University degree.
No, it's not. And literally for nothing, okay, if you're like within 20% of the poverty line. So I don't get it. Why can we we have the ability to do this, and, and we're now the 5th largest economy in the world, us little Californians, okay? We took over Russia. Hello? So we should be at the G7. How about us?
Yeah, right. Well, Nick, but
you're going to have to annex somebody first, Nick.
A couple of things. It's not for nothing. I mean, certainly there are tax dollars collected. It's priorities of the citizens through their elected officials on what they want to spend their money. Yes, of course. These are the priorities.
We want educated young people.
Well, we also want a $700 billion annual military defense budget, and that's before we throw in the expense and the tab of Space Force.
Space Force.
Oh, Jesus. Yes.
Hey, Nick, let me ask you a question real quick. I've seen some reporting about an attempt to get California to split into 3 separate states. What's your opinion?
Well, you know what? In a lot of ways, it makes sense because we have grown so large that we've only got 2 senators to represent us. And like you got states like Wyoming that they don't even make up one of our big smaller cities. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think I like the plan. Because it's the population groups in those states would be. And it's going to be like Northern California, Southern California, Western California, whatever. It's all going to be California, And we will obviously be the biggest trading partners of anybody in the world with each other. I think it's a smart move because we'll have 6 senators instead of 2.
All right, Nick, we always appreciate it. You take care out there in Arcata, California.
Man, we need to get out there to the Emerald Triangle.
I know.
For what it's worth, I envy you, Nick. Living in a freedom-loving blue state that is California, where you invest in education.
And you have legal weed.
Man, what are we doing wrong? And why is Scott Walker still the governor?
Well, because he is all about education, right?
Oh, yeah. Our education governor. Come back with us. We are all about entertaining you and putting some thought-provoking ideas in your head. Join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
What's that sound? Everybody look what's going, we better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going, we better stop. Now, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going, we better stop. Children, what's that sound?
And we're actually thinking of a 6th. And that would be the Space Force. Does that make sense?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Hi, I'm Becky from Bounce Milwaukee, and I want to be the first to invite you to our newest attraction, axe throwing at Fling Milwaukee. Bring your friends, date, co-workers, or family to experience the rush of throwing axes at Milwaukee's first indoor throwing arena. Open 6 days a week for corporate team building, bachelor and bachelorette parties, date night, or just a fun night out. More information at flingmilwaukee.com or 414-312-4357.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's 3 big things. There's clear consensus now that
cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on it anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hey everybody, I'm Earl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. But when we introduce a new stimulus, Save the Food, we're helping to stop food waste. Save the Food. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Pika-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the phone line's always open for your take, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to have a little more conversation about this policy of the Trump administration, taking kids from their parents, and as Laura Ingram would describe it, throwing them in some sort of summer camp.
Let's hit that one first. From the Hill, here's Laura Ingram's quote on Monday. As more illegal immigrants are rushing the border, more kids are being separated from their parents and temporarily housed at what are essentially summer camps. Yeah, you know, summer camps, a little archery.
The kids are just a little homesick away from mom and dad for the first time.
Yeah, they'll get over it. Some swimming.
Some bug juice.
You know, it'll be lots of fun. You know, campfires.
S'mores? Do you think there'll be s'mores?
Yes, of course. Of course. Summer camp. That's what it's all about. Laura Ingram.
So we've had Ann Coulter claim that these children, and especially the audio we've heard of children crying out for their parents from which they've been torn away. Well, those are just child actors.
Child actors.
And then we have got Laura Ingram, another witch of the right, over on Fox News, claiming, well, it's just It's essentially summer camp. And then we get the president today tweeting out on this topic, Dom. You want to do the honors, or should I?
I'll jump on here quick. Crudy, President Trump on Tuesday. We found this one on the Hill. Trump on Tuesday restated his support for his administration's policy of separating migrant families at the U.S. border, calling Democrats the problem. Quote, "We must always arrest people coming into our country illegally. Of the 12,000 children, 10,000 are being sent by their parents on a very dangerous trip, and only 2,000 are with their parents, many of whom have tried to enter our country illegally on numerous occasions. Democrats are the problem. They don't care about crime and want illegal immigrants, no matter how bad they are, to pour into and infest our country like MS-13. They can't win on their terrible policies, so they view them as potential voters."
Infest?
Infest.
Like a varmint? Like termites?
Yes, like
infestation,
like not human, like animals.
Something that should be, let's say, exterminated.
Perhaps, or at least rounded up, kept in cages, and maybe hustled back across the border in a big cattle run.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates, going live right here on Brady like we do every weekday. You can always join us on the phones at 844-967-2789. Text or call. It's all good here. We'll be right back. The happy hour, it's going to start right now.
I hate the children being taken away.
To me, they're not even people.
Do you love public education? Do you want to support your schools? Then you should support the people who make them work. You should support teachers and their unions. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions, and when the school bell rings, it is crucial that teachers do not check their rights at the door. The ability to organize and advocate around issues that improve the quality of a teacher's workplace will increase opportunities for students and make schools safer for everyone. Stand with teachers, stand with WEAC Region 7.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's.
The border policy, Justice Department testimony. I'm Ann Cates. President Trump is meeting with House Republicans on Capitol Hill about his administration's zero-tolerance policy separating children from their parents at the Mexican border. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says a bipartisan legislative effort is needed.
We hope to reach out to the Democrats and see if we can get a result, which means making a law and not just get into some kind of sparring back and forth that leads to no conclusion.
A Justice Department watchdog has returned to Capitol Hill.
For a second day, Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz reviewing and taking questions from Congress about his report related to the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Along the way, his team discovered texts between Special Agents Peter Strzok and Lisa Page expressing their clear dislike for candidate Donald Trump. "We'll stop it," Strzok replied. Horowitz's feelings about that matter.
I can't imagine FBI agents suggesting even that they might use their powers to investigate any candidate for any office.
The Trump campaign was being investigated, a probe that continues still, but Horowitz insists there was no evidence of bias in handling either that or the Clinton email matter. Bob Costantini, Washington.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average has plunged 287 points as President Trump escalates the trade war with China. Correspondent Steve Burns.
That drop puts the Dow back in negative territory for the year and marks its longest losing streak in 15 months. Investors are finding it harder to ignore the escalating trade tensions between the U.S. and China. Russia is now also getting involved. Its economy minister announcing it'll impose tariffs on U.S. road building machinery. Apple was down 1.6%, despite President Trump saying iPhones wouldn't be subject to tariffs.
On Wall Street, the other major indexes are also down. The S&P off by 11, the Nasdaq down 21. I'm Ann Cates.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
What are you waiting for? It's time to join the union. I'm Andy Buck, field representative with the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 7 of Wisconsin. You're already doing the work. You deserve to make a fair wage. You work hard, but your body isn't going to last forever. Cash feels great in your hand, but having health insurance, a safe workplace, and a secure retirement gives you peace of mind. Join the union and make your job your career. Look us up online, Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. If you're a painter, glazer, drywall finisher, start getting paid like it. Join the union.
Star 848.
Track Palin has formally entered into a court diversion program after an assault on his father last December.
Palin and his father got into an argument over a truck that escalated into a fight in which Todd was bleeding from the head and forced to get a gun to protect the rest of his family. Those charges have been reduced to criminal trespassing, a misdemeanor. Track will serve 10 days in jail, and if he doesn't complete the diversion program, he'll receive a jail term of 1 year. Sarah Palin, the former vice presidential candidate and former Alaska governor, told police at the time her son was on some kind of medication and was freaking out. I'm John Stolnis.
New Jersey is considering honoring the late celebrity chef and TV host Anthony Bourdain with a food trail. The 61-year-old was born in New York but grew up in the New Jersey suburb of Leonia. A resolution has been introduced that would require New Jersey's Travel and Tourism Division to establish the Anthony Bourdain food trail. I'm Ann Cates.
I'm Jesse Pikeholz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
180 over 111 and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Wisconsin National Guard troops are heading to the Mexico border in Arizona. 24 Guard soldiers and airmen are headed to the border to support Customs and Border Patrol agents. The volunteers come from several units around the state and should be in Arizona by the end of the week. And the Brewers lost to the Pirates last night 1-0. Game 2 of that 3-game series is tonight in Pittsburgh. Outside this afternoon, rain likely, and then a 40% chance of rain tonight. Lows tonight around 60 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, highs in the upper 60s in Milwaukee, mid-70s in Madison. And then Thursday, partly sunny, with highs around 70 in Milwaukee, mid-70s in Madison. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour. And it's always happy up here on Brady Street, especially when you join us on the phones at 844-967-2789. We're going to get to callers in just a moment. I found a breaking news story at The Guardian. Dom, U.S. quits UN Human Rights Council, describing it as a cesspool of political bias. Julian Borger reports the U.S. is withdrawing from the United Nations Human Rights Council, the Trump administration announced on Tuesday, calling it a cesspool of political bias that targets Israel in particular while ignoring atrocities in other countries. The U.S. ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, said she had traveled to the council's headquarters in Geneva a year ago to call for reforms, to no avail. Regrettably, it is now clear that our call for reform was not heeded. Haley told reporters at the State Department human rights abusers, including the United States, continue to serve on and be elected to the council. She added the world's most inhumane regimes continue to escape scrutiny, and the council continues politicizing and scapegoating of countries with positive human rights records in an attempt to distract from the abusers in their ranks. For too long, the Human Rights Council has been a protector of human rights abusers and a cesspool of political bias. The U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, appearing alongside Haley, said too many commitments have gone unfulfilled. President Trump wants to move the ball forward from day one. He has called out institutions or countries who say one thing and do another, because he's known as Mr. Consistency.
Right.
And that's precisely the problem at the Human Rights Council. The Trump administration had been signaling its intent to leave the council for some months. But the announcement came while the U.S. itself is under intense criticism for its own human rights because of the administration's policy of forcibly separating young children from their parents when apprehended on the Mexican border.
There we go.
Rights groups accuse the U.S. of withdrawing from its global obligations to protect human rights. Here's a quote, Dom. Kenneth Ross, executive director of the Human Rights Watch. The Trump administration's withdrawal is a sad reflection of its one-dimensional human rights policy. Defending Israel's abuses from criticism takes precedence above all else. I guess I'm the only one that's got this article. I'll keep reading. It's nearly a conclusion. The UN Human Rights Council has played an important role in such countries as North Korea, Syria, Myanmar, and South Sudan. But all Trump seems to care about is defending Israel. Like last time when the U.S. government stepped away from the council for similar reasons, other governments will have to redouble their efforts to ensure the council addresses the world's most serious human rights problems. Well, we don't give a damn about human rights, Dom. They're aliens, and we're going to send them to summer camp.
So what, Nikki Haley went there last year, told them to stop picking on Israel for their terrible treatment of the Palestinians, and then now using that as cover justification to walk away because of...
Timing not conspicuous at all.
Not conspicuous whatsoever because of our own, because of Trump's decision to separate toddlers from their parents.
Or as he would
I hate the children being taken away.
He should just say, I hate the children.
I hate the children being taken away.
I always thought he looked at the children as the future dating pool. So, 10 years, he'll be dating her.
To me, they're not even people.
Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
It's his policy. Effectively, the Bannon-Miller policy. I mean, we're right there. We're marching towards fascism, man.
844-967-2789. Let's get to it. Lou from Cudahy, you are up. Thanks for calling, Lou. What do you got today?
Hello, leftist. Always good to talk to you guys from the left. Hey, I'd like to be for the rule of law coming back into play. That would be smart. And establishing a border so we actually we have a country. What do you think about that?
That's cool. Can we do that without separating babies from their mothers?
Well, I'm all in favor of enforcing the law so we don't have any more chaos and anarchy there.
Well, okay, but can we do that without taking kids away from their parents?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of the thing, right? I think we could, And Lou, I don't want to hide behind this whole "well" because that's the law thing. I mean, you know how many laws are just terribly unjust in the course of our American history, let alone world history?
So do you want justice or you want social justice? Do you want the rule of law to prevail, yes or no?
Depends on what the law is, Lou.
Simple.
Well, here you go. Lou, let me ask you. We just celebrated the anniversary of Loving Virginia. Blacks and whites couldn't marry as late as 1968. Do you support that law? That was the law of the land.
Right. We're talking about the U.S. Mexico.
Well, no, I know, understand that, but we're talking about. But listen, you're talking about enforcing laws in general, right?
Hey, are you gonna have a filibuster here? Or do I
but I'd like you to answer my question. If you're so about law-abiding, would you support, when it was the law, the law against blacks and whites getting married?
Brad Schimmel said he would.
We're talking about the border here and the chaos and anarchy that's being installed down there. So, and you guys are obviously endorsing the criminal behavior that they're going to.
Did you hear me endorse it? How did I endorse it, Lou? Please repeat my words back to me.
You endorsed it by. Quiet, let me speak.
Yes, go ahead.
God, you're so dog whistle reactionary. My goodness, take a deep breath, big guy.
Hey, I'm okay, Lou, but you're going to tell me I'm endorsing anarchy. I'd like to know how and why you think I'm doing that.
Because when you don't have a border established and you don't have the rule of law in place, you encourage more of the stuff to go on. Like we owe them a living. There's no right to come into the United States. We get to pick who comes in. What's your problem with that?
Do we have to take away the kids from the parents in order to enforce that law? And actually, do we have a right to listen to those who would request amnesty?
Asylum?
Because my understanding is we do. Asylum seekers do have a right to get their time here in this country. Right? Are you against that, Lou?
Well, that's international law. You can't.
They don't have a right to come into our country. That's not something that's part of our law.
Hey, Lou, can I ask one? I haven't interrupted until now. Lou, I'm going to ask a quick question. President of the United States, Donald Trump, sounds like you might be a fan, advocating for waterboarding or worse. That would be a clear violation of Geneva Convention. That would be a violation of international law, sir. Are you down for waterboarding and worse? Because that would create a chaotic circumstance, perhaps another Abu Ghraib circumstance.
Let's go back to what it's called about, the rule of law and establishing borders and having no chaos and no anarchy.
Only if we answer the question through the frame that you want us to answer, Lou, then it's an acceptable answer to you. So, okay, Lou, let's build the man his $30 billion wall. Is Mexico going to pay for that, by the way? Because I remember lots of promises that Mexico was going to pay. Just curious.
Let's get the wall built. Let's get the wall.
Who's paying for $30 billion? You got $30 billion laying around, Lou? Because somebody's got to pay for that wall, right?
Well, Obama ran up our debt to what, 17?
Obama did it? Come on, Lou. Stay with me here, buddy. I'm asking the questions now, Lou. Lou, stay with me. $30 billion, where's it coming from? You taking it out of the defense budget that this...
You guys are defending chaos and anarchy. You don't care about how much money.
Cut him off. I'm sick of Lou.
All right, Lou.
Lou, you got to make a freaking point. You got to respond in kind. You can't force me through the frame. It's chaos and anarchy or nothing, right? That's the only opinion. If I don't answer the question to your satisfaction, I'm suddenly chaotic and anarchistic. But I would point out, Lou, we've had international borders forever. And until very recently, we didn't really limit the immigration. I think somebody got off a boat once upon a time. Lou, you're great something. Why is it that suddenly we've closed these borders? Suddenly we want to restrain the immigration, even the legal immigration. You ready to go pick some cotton or some fruit out in the fields, Lou? Or you think maybe we need immigrant labor to make this country go? And you evangelicals, you're not having enough babies. So when the baby boomers start aging out, who's going to take care of them, Lou? Is that going to be you? You going to wipe some asses, Lou? Because you don't seem like the type, sir.
844-967-2789. Lou, we generally appreciate those kinds of calls. And again, if you cannot tell me how I'm supporting anarchy and chaos, I believe in borders. I understand that there's got to be borders. You can't have a nation without borders. I understand that. Now, maybe sometime in the future things will change, but that's how it is right now. I mean, borders separate cultures and systems of law. I understand that. But you don't have to do what Donald Trump is doing right now. He could pick up the phone and say, stop separating these children from the parents. Period. That could happen. He's not doing that. Scott Walker doesn't have to jump on board and send our National Guard down to the border to facilitate, to help taking children away from their parents. Crying little baby children with their parents just trying to get away from whatever chaos they're coming from. And then I got to ask you, Lou, what's been our South American policy? When's the last time you heard about foreign policy in Honduras or Venezuela or anywhere in South America? The CIA has quite a history of rolling over governments in South America. Are we still playing those games? I bet we are, Lou. Do you think maybe we have any impact on what's going on down there, Lou? 844-967-2789. Come back. We are the Devil's Advocates.
We have to bring back law and order. I hate the children being taken away. I would bring back waterboarding, and I'd bring back a hell of a lot worse than waterboarding. Very powerful. Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that failed facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamarupa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Here in the Badger State, we have our own expressions. When we're looking to go on vacation, we state, well, let's go up north. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters Local 200. Here in the Badger State, we also have another expression, union yes. The strength of the labor movement depends on elected officials here in Wisconsin and Washington, D.C. that support the values of working families that raise the standards for all. Give us a call at Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit our website at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook at Teamsters Local 200. Be engaged.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krut are the Devil's Advocates.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, the party line, 844-967-2789.
There's breaking news. Michael Cohen willing to give info about the president.
Ooh.
Sing, little canary. I got a CNN poll out. Gray Sparks report, June 18th is first published. Majority oppose policy that causes family separation. But Republicans, like the guy from... Where was he from?
Lou from Cudahy.
Like Lou, they approve of this policy. Two-thirds, that's a supermajority of Americans disapprove of the Trump administration's practice of taking undocumented immigrant children from their families and putting them in government facilities on U.S. borders, according to a CNN poll. Only 28% approve. But amongst Republicans, the truly Christian, the evangelicals, you might say, Dom.
The law-abiding Republicans.
But among Republicans, who don't want any chaos, nothing but law and order, there's a majority support for the policy that has resulted in an uptick of children being separated from their families. The separations are the end result of the administration's zero-tolerance policy of criminally charging people who cross the border illegally. Where is the Republican number? I want to see it. I cannot believe Republicans would approve of this policy. All in all, in this poll, Dom, 39% approve of Trump. Guys like Lou.
Shame.
844-967-2789. Bill from Oconomowoc, you are next. Thanks for calling, Bill. What do you got today?
Hey, please have Luke call back. If he doesn't like anarchy, what is our fearless leader who colludes with communist governments, takes the knee to the president or whatever, dictator of North Korea? Even Fox called him a dictator. And if we're following the rule of law, isn't collusion, treason the rule of law? And by the way, the law that Lou's talking about, Trump isn't even following. He's making it up as he goes along. That's all fabricated by Mr. Trump himself.
Oh, Bill, don't hold conservatives to facts. They won't understand the president when he speaks, sir.
You're right. I forgot. They hate facts. They love their own reality. And whatever universe they're in, that's what the reality of the day is.
Bill, let me ask you, do you think we should just give the big Cheeto baby his frickin' wall? Should we give him a $30 billion allocation? I mean, since we're spending other people's money, oh yeah, our money, but other people's money. Anyways, Bill, should we give him the wall? I bet you this grand builder, I bet you wouldn't even be able to get a wall up. I mean, there are geographical limitations. He's never going to successfully build the wall. Let's let him fail at building the wall. At least guys like Lou can go off and pound on some other radio products.
Well, that's a great point. And with the wall, you've got a good idea. Maybe Trump himself, who's had, so many successes with his, what do they call that when you fail and paying off your debt?
Bankruptcies?
Bankruptcy, thank you. I'm sure good old the big Donald could get the job done himself.
Bill, I'm sure he's not the only guy to bankrupt casinos, but if you can't make a living at running a casino, you're doing something absolutely wrong.
Hey, Bill,
I wish I was close by and have a beer with you. But thanks, you guys do a wonderful job. But I have Lou call back.
Oh, yeah, Lou. Hey, thanks, Bill. Lou is always welcome, but
only one call a day, though, Bill.
You got to give some give and take. I got a couple more minutes here. Let's get to our pal Ignacio. Hey, man, you are up. What do you got for us today?
Hey, gentlemen, I did not know the United States wanted to join the League of Evil Countries doing human rights violations. Since when? And our senators and our Republican senators and House of Representatives need to grow a spine. We have a supermajority, and they cannot get nothing done. How come nobody reminds them? Whenever I hear talk shows are talking about, well, this and that, we need bipartisan. Look, you have a supermajority. Get the freaking job done. If you guys believe so much in what you're doing, do it. But they won't do it because they know that Americans will have their rear end on the rooster in November and kick them out.
Well, I think they're realizing that, Ignacio. You got the 5 living former and current first ladies not happy with this policy change by the president. You have Republicans,
including Melania.
You have Republicans in the Senate now, in the U.S. Senate, that are pushing back, want to get something done. They're actually calling on Trump to stop this policy immediately. All the Dems are already there. I mean, most people looking at this situation objectively with any sort of compassion in their hearts would say, nah, you don't have to do this. But Trump and Stephen Miller and Bannon and Lou, they're all down for this because it's a negotiation, right? He's the grand negotiator. But Curdy, don't give him the wall. You don't negotiate with terrorists.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. You can always join us on the phones. They're open for you and toll free at 844-967-2789. I think our buddy Earl Ingram's going to check in. He was at the Juneteenth festivities in Milwaukee. I got to duck out a little bit early.
Half-timer, part-timer.
Lou might be stalking me out there. Me and my chaos theories. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. Fancy Brian and Super Big Dom.
Well, I could be wrong, but I believe diversity is an old wooden ship that was used during the Civil War era.
Diversity and diversity.
I'm Jesse Pika-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've messed up your daughter's haircut. Do you A, get spiritual?
Mom, where's the mirror?
Beauty is within. Oh.
B, find the positives?
Less time blow drying, more time texting?
Or C, show empathy?
Mom, you really don't have to.
Twinsies!
I kinda love it. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
The bridge is out, and there are scat holes everywhere. Come on. What's wrong with you? Listen to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Excuse me, I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Scott Walker went on something of a Twitter storm, very Trumpian. What do you think this foretells for Scott Walker's future as the governor of the state of Wisconsin?
Wisconsinites have woken up. He talked about we need an optimistic message. How can you make people feel optimistic when you take away their health care? How can you make people optimistic when you take away the right to bargain? How can you make people feel optimistic when you're gerrymandering the heck out of districts?
Radio for the 99%.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Later this summer, the Bradley Center will be demolished and several community groups will inherit equipment and fixtures from the building thanks to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Public Schools will receive doors, mirrors, bathroom stall partitions, toilets, and wash stations, and Habitat for Humanity will receive equipment and furnishings from the Luxury Box Suites. In addition, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 494 will get electrical equipment that they can use to train apprentices and journeyman electricians. Outside this afternoon, rain likely, and then a 40% chance of rain tonight. Lows tonight around 60 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, highs in the upper 60s in Milwaukee, mid-70s in Madison. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, 844-967-2789. Our pal Earl Ingram Jr. is going to join us in a few minutes. I want to get one more caller in here. Mark, you've been very patient. We appreciate it. I want to give you an opportunity to chime in. Thanks for calling, man. What do you got today?
Yeah, you were spot on there about Central America, because I seem to remember little Ollie North, our current NRA president,
right,
was busily selling weapons to the Iranians, turning them into cash and buying drugs, and then selling the drugs and turning them into more cash. But he was doing a lot of business down there in Central America and Mexico, and I just have speculated over the years that I wonder how many of those current drug cartels that are down there got a big old head start when Ollie was doing business with them, because he probably used them as middlemen for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know for sure, but I mean, but these people are fleeing utter chaos down there, and as some of our ancestors did back in the day when they came here.
Sure.
And what's the? I mean, and what kind of person is it that strips a baby away from their mother, or what kind of person is it that actually that heart isn't just broken when they hear these children sobbing? And what is it? Ann Coulter saying those are crisis actors, and Laura Ingram thinks it's summer camp.
Yeah.
I never went to summer camp, but I know any summer camp any of my friends went to didn't have chain link dividers between for walls.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be doing a whole lot of rock climbing and archery classes and swinging rope into the pool, Mark. It's
No, go ahead.
And they got the picture of Donald Trump there as the leader, I guess, in all these places where they're, that's what we used to see in the old films about, the dictator. I mean, the dictator's picture's up there on the wall.
Yep.
And what is it? What they got? Work shall set you free, or something like that. I mean, it's more like abandon all hope, all ye who enter here, as far as I'm concerned. I mean that.
And then they hide behind the law, and they hide behind the Bible or whatever justification that they want to throw out there. Because here's the deal, Mark: it's just cruelty for the sake of political negotiation to try to get the Democrats to come in and fund the wall that the president said politically Mexico would pay for. I mean, that's really it. I don't see what else the issue really is. And I'm not clear that the wall is going to solve this problem. I know Sessions has said, and the messaging on this from the administration has been all over the board. The DHS secretary says, no, I would never do this. This is not a deterrent. And Sessions says it is a deterrent. You got Trump out there saying, oh, no one wants to see this. This is horrible, when he's the guy that started it, and he's the guy that could end it today.
I mean, you remember you're an atheist, but you went to Catholic school.
I did.
And you probably remember the whole thing is, for I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothing and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. What the heck? I was in prison, you came to see me. What the heck Bible are these guys going to that they're justifying that?
It's a new interpretation these days, Mark. It's all about making money. If God blesses you, you will be rich. Hey, thanks for the call. We certainly appreciate it. The taking of children has been a practice in this country during some of our darkest times. And a celebration today, Juneteenth, our own Earl Ingram Jr. I bet he has something to say about this. Earl, welcome to the Devil's Advocates. Thanks for joining us today, man.
Hey, how you doing, my friend? It's always a pleasure to be able to have a dialogue with you and your listening audience.
I know, man. I miss you. I don't get to see you during the day a lot, Earl, so sometimes this is the only chance we get to hang out, and I appreciate it as always. Celebrating Juneteenth today, Earl. A lot of people don't know necessarily what that is. I want to get your impression, your definition, and then and talk about this as it pertains to what the Trump administration is doing at the border. What was the deal in Milwaukee today, buddy?
Juneteenth Day is a celebration that is across the nation. It's a holiday that commemorates the celebration June 19th, the end of slavery in the United States. And so across the country, this day is marked with events and parades, and Milwaukee just happens to have one of the largest and the longest running. This was year 47.
Wow.
So I'll tell you something. This kind of blew my mind. As Donald Trump had this to say today, believe it or not. As a nation, we vow to never forget the millions of African Americans who suffered the evils of slavery. This is from President Donald Trump. Recognizing the holiday together, we honor the unbreakable spirit and countless contributions of generations of African Americans to the story of American greatness. Today, we recommit ourselves to defending the self-evident truth, boldly declared by our founding fathers, that all people are created equal. Isn't that warm and kind?
I didn't hear the words slavery and apology and terrible time in this country's history, and hopefully it will never, ever happen again anywhere in this world.
So on June 19th, 1865, then Major General Gordon Granger came to Texas, I think it was Galveston, to remind Americans that slavery had ended. That President Abraham Lincoln, 2 years earlier, had freed the slaves, but it was still going on in far too many areas in this country. They were not accepting that. So after Major General Gordon Granger showed up in Texas and other places, the information finally got around the country, and to black people especially, after a 2.5-year delay, that slavery had been abolished. And that's on June 19th. So 153 years ago, that was what took place. and it's a celebration ever since. So in essence, Dominic, it is our Independence Day.
Yeah.
And, sometimes people may get angry and say, well, why do you guys need a separate Independence Day? Well, that's because, I've heard that.
I know, but, come on. We're talking about the enslavement of an entire race of people. And it wasn't that long ago, Earl. I mean, this has been celebrated now, 47 years here in Milwaukee?
Absolutely.
And 150-some years ago, it was finally abolished, and only after generals started marching through and enforcing the order. I mean, this is not ancient history, and I think when people say things like that, it really is. It's a statement out of ignorance, Earl. I really got to say.
There are people alive right now who knew people who were actually slaves.
Right.
That's how short of a time ago it was.
Yeah. So, Earl, what about the... Oh, go ahead, my friend.
No, you go ahead, Dominic.
The celebrations here in Milwaukee, I know you were out there. What was going on? Did the rain, did it dampen any of the festivities?
Absolutely not. It was raining cats and dogs. We'll clearly tell you that, but people were lined up on the parade route. And people are not going to allow that a little rain to stop them, because the celebration of Juneteenth in Milwaukee, unfortunately, may be the only opportunity that many African Americans in the city of Milwaukee get a chance to enjoy a special event during the summer. Many have never gone to Summerfest. Many have never gone to State Fair. And so special events, Brady Street Festival, many young people and even adults have not been able to get out of our communities and neighborhoods. And this is it. This is the celebration of the entire summer for many in our communities. So rain is not going to stop it. And the vendors, too numerous to mention, is similar to Brady Street, man. It's Brady Street on Dr. King Drive.
Right.
All of those vendors, I think it's what, about 2, 4, 6 to 8 blocks, and so it's music, it's fun, it's food. It's really rekindling relationships with people you haven't seen. In many instances, if you're like me and a lifelong resident of the city, you go because it's a family reunion, man. You run into people you haven't seen in 30 years.
That's awesome.
Or 40 years. So it's a time that our children get to be in a safe environment and just enjoy the community, and not at a time when the community is in attack against itself, but where there's peace. Peace on earth, goodwill of men, and all those kinds of things.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Our pal Earl Ingram Jr. joins me on the phone to celebrate Juneteenth here today in Milwaukee. Earl, you had read off the quote from President Donald Trump, and I give you my opinion, my friend, but I didn't get yours. What was your reaction when you heard those, read those words from the president?
Well, Dominic, I happen to listen to Donald Trump a lot, pay a lot of attention to him. Even if I wasn't doing radio, I would focus on what Donald Trump is and what he's doing, because unfortunately in America, things still are not fair, just, and equitable. And I've been around a little while and lived through the civil rights struggle and thought that there was a time or an opportunity that maybe those words of the glorious words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, it may soon be true for people of color and others. But Donald Trump and what he stands for has, kind of turned back the clock on things. And to hear that coming from his mouth, we know that it's certainly not anything that he means, and he didn't write it. So, because if he would have written it, it wouldn't have sounded so eloquent.
If he'd have wrote it, Earl, it'd been on Twitter.
You know, and somebody had to pull his coat and say, hey, Donald, you know, those people, they're celebrating, what is it? It's Donald Trump. What do you mean? You know, those people, they celebrate, you know, their freedom. Well, what are you talking about? What freedom? Donald Trump doesn't know anything about the history of this nation. And so to hear it come out of his mouth is just strange.
It'd be nice if I believed the words that he actually said. Hey, Earl, we got one more segment left. Are you able to stick around? You want a boogie?
Come on, man.
I know you love doing the radio, my friend. All right, stick around, folks. We are the Devil's Advocates. My pal, Earl Ingram Jr. Of course, he does the morning show here, 7 to 9, and on Saturdays, hardest working man in radio, Saturdays, noon to 3. We got one segment left. We're going to come back with Earl Ingram Jr. Earl, I want to get your take. We have Mark Thomsen on today, the attorney for Sterling Brown in this abuse case, again, here in the city of Milwaukee. I want to get your take. I appreciate it, my friend. We are the Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back.
There's nobody that's done so much for equality as I have.
Does that make sense?
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at 5nines.com. That's the number 5nines.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. Closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA, not only in my state, but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org. Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. It's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Driving means
freedom,
exploration,
fun,
pride,
flexibility,
travel,
protection,
friendship,
escape,
independence.
Distracted driving means
danger,
recklessness,
irresponsible,
chaos,
police,
devastation,
injury,
tears, death.
Safe driving means staying alert and staying alive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Person who's against these regulations to keep poop out of your water and poison out of your food. If one of their offspring had a third arm coming out of their forehead,
I would just think that would be awkward. You'd be very top heavy.
But you would be one heck of a football player.
How would they make a helmet?
All you gotta do is cut a hole in the helmet for the hand to come through, and you could catch
but then
passes
you're
all
elbowing
over the
everybody
place.
in the face every time you walk around.
Wear an elbow pad. You'd be fine.
How would you see?
You would be a heck of a football player.
Would you be an arm unicorn?
414 Wisconsin, weekdays 2 to 3 p.m.
60% of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Got our pal Earl Ingram Jr. on the line talking some Juneteenth celebration. Hey, Earl, thanks for sticking around, my friend.
Oh, without question.
Hey, so as much as we want to celebrate, the end of slavery, unfortunately, we still have some racial issues. Not only in this country, but certainly in the city. And, when it's with the police, it becomes even more of an issue because, of course, they have weapons on their hips. Bucks rookie Sterling Brown filed a lawsuit today. Earl, I don't know if you saw the article reported in the Journal-Sentinel, Ashley Lutheran and Gina Barton. But here's the quick quote. One of the officers, after the encounter and unconstitutional tasing of Mr. Brown, went on his Facebook page. Quote, "Nice meeting Sterling Brown of the Milwaukee Bucks at work this morning. LOL, hashtag fear the deer." Another one talking about J.R. Smith of Cleveland after one of the games. "I hope J.R. Smith double parks in Walgreens handicap parking spot when he's in Milwaukee." So what? The assumption is that if he's here, he's going to be unconstitutionally, illegally tased. Because why? He's a black man? Earl, this seems to keep happening in our fair city. I know you've been around a long time in this city, man. What the hell?
Dominic, what I love about the crew at Resistance Radio is you guys, you and everybody else at the station sees things from a perspective of right and wrong, and you don't see it from the perspective and the prism, unfortunately, that so many others in this city, state, and nation see it as. And so right now we're talking about Sterling Brown. It's Sterling Brown today.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow it's going to be somebody else. Tonight it may be somebody else who not as popular. It's not a matter of what I heard so many people say on the other side of this was, well, he was breaking the law. Well, okay. Let's take the stretch of parking, double parking, or parking in two spots, disabled spots. Since when did that become a major crime?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, here's the ticket. Let's move on. But it had everything to do with what there's an article in The Guardian today, and it just so happens I was going to get to it this morning, but I didn't get a chance. And it's by a young man named Elijah Anderson. And it says, and the top of it is, this is what it feels like to be black in white spaces. And unless people really can get to what somebody else may be experiencing or feeling, that they are open-minded enough and have hearts enough and are human enough to realize that there's something that's just not right in this country. It hasn't been since the founding of this country, and it's certainly not now. And so from the perspective of a black man who's lived here for 63 years, and things have not gotten much better. Yeah, for some. But for the masses of my community, we are all being judged through the eyes of someone who sees a black face, and whether they know that person or not, they have preconceived ideas that we're all criminal. And that's what they thought about Sterling Brown. until they find out the guy's a multimillionaire. But even after having realized the guy's a multimillionaire, they still could not resist their racist hatred towards a person of color. Now, that's all right, Dominic, if you haven't been sworn to uphold the law. But we should expect people who are sworn to uphold the law to not think and act in that manner. They're being paid. They're professionals, I always hear people say. But that's not Joe from Eswabinan.
Right.
Joe from Eswabinan has a right to have his opinion on things, but not those people who we have elected and put in those positions of authority.
Yeah, and those people in those positions of authority that through this organization don't really face punishment. And as citizens of the city, let alone the abhorrent behavior when you're judging somebody when you're in a position of authority simply because of the color of their skin. Well, then you're also getting sued left and right, $22 million in police misconduct lawsuits since 2015, Earl. I mean,
now imagine this, Dominic. So that money is being thrown away, and yet we don't have money to stop children from drinking leaded water every morning. Well, we don't have any money for that.
Earl, just, on that vein, and we're running out of time, man, I do have Mayor Barrett coming on Friday, so hopefully we'll get some discussions about that. Hey, Earl Ingram Jr. from the Earl Ingram Jr. Show here on WRRD, 7 to 9, Monday through Friday, noon to 3 on Saturdays. Thank you so much. Happy Juneteenth, my friend. I'll see you tomorrow.
Take care.
All right, buddy. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Thank you so much for listening. I want to thank our guests today. The Dem Fight Club, Wisconsin State Senator Kathleen Vinehout, Mahlon Mitchell, president of the Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin. They joined us in the 3 o'clock hour. You can find that interview online as well at domandcrute.com. Also, Mark Thomsen, attorney for said Sterling Brown. Thank you to all of our listeners, all of our sponsors. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Have a great night.
We have to do our job. We will not apologize for doing for our job. We have sworn to do this job.
What did we do wrong? We did nothing wrong. We were supposed to fight for people who couldn't fight for themselves.
Park and Stretch Outpost.
Our friendly staff is available 7 days a week to show you a variety of high-quality, local, and national brand pet foods. Be sure to visit our freezer